Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Warning: this video may contain explicit descriptions of drug use, violence, and sexual situations. Viewer discretion is advised as this content may not be suitable for all audiences.
Hello and welcome back to this video. We are once again diving deep into the world of Hunter S. Thompson and the Kingdom of Fear. We last were finishing up with the 1968 Democratic National Convention. So we'll see where we go from here.
Once they could be made to see the light of reason, or even political reality. This is what the bastards never understood, that the movement was essentially an expression of deep faith in the American dream, that the people they were fighting were not the cruel and cynical beasts they seemed to be, and that in fact they were just a bunch of men like everybody's crusty middle-class fathers who only need...
And, we all have that family relative that we really don't want to deal with, like over the holidays. He's just taken that ideal of having that crusty, sexist, racist, homophobic relative and expanding it out to the people in power, because in the people in power you're going to have your racist, homophobic, sexist fuckheads. It's just the way it goes.
Needed to be shaken a bit, jolted out of their bad habits and away from their lazy, short-term, profit-oriented life stances.
Yeah, when they start to realize that they're going to start to lose money. I mean, look at all in the last 5 to 10 years, all of the corporations and businesses that have started embracing, like, Black History Month, Pride Month, stuff, ERA stuff, women, my brain, I need a new one. If anyone knows where I can pick up a model 1969 brain, let me know. I need a new one. But women's affairs and stuff like that. Because these people have realized if we give them what they want, they'll give us money. And, and this is a good old US of A. So it is what it is, people.
And that once they understood, they would surely do the right thing. A willingness to argue, however violently, implies a faith of some basic kind in the antagonist.
Yeah, you got a point. He has a very, very valid point there.
An assumption that he is still open to argument and reason, and if all else fails, then finally orchestrated persuasion in the form of political embarrassment.
Yeah, that's happening to certain candidates right now as we speak. Political embarrassment.
The 1960s were full of examples of good, powerful men changing their minds on heavy issues. John Kennedy on Cuba and the Bay of Pigs, Martin Luther King Jr. on Vietnam, Gene McCarthy on working behind the scenes and within the Senate Club, Robert F. Kennedy on grass and long hair and...
Yeah, if you notice what people like Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King started in the 60s and John Kennedy is look at, medical and recreational marijuana. Look at the use of in some states, of medical psilocybin. All of that, that's not new. All of that came out of the 60s. But it was covered up. Nixon covered that up like a cat covering shit. But it couldn't stay covered. And there are people in America still trying to cover it back up. But I don't think it's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen, to be honest with you.
What eventually came to be freak power. Ted Kennedy on Francis X. Morrissey, and Senator Sam Ervin on wiretaps and preventive detention.
See? And now we've got people wanting to champion red flag laws, which is the same as preventative detention.
Anyway, the general political drift of the 1960s was one of the good guys winning, slowly but surely, and even clumsily sometimes, over the bad guys.
And everything on a long enough time period, the good guys win. It's going to be a hell of a fight. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be mean. People are going to lose their lives, going to lose their teeth, going to lose loved ones. But it's a fight we have to constantly fight. We have to realize the potentiality of a utopia, knowing that as a species we could never handle a utopia. It would be a utopia would be worse for us than a dystopia as a species. Frank Herbert played with that in God Emperor of Dune. That you have to have oppressive for so long so that people rebel. And once they rebel and you have this explosion of violence, things settle out and people get their heads on right, and things start to advance. Things start to get, start to go. They move forward. Then over time, that moving forward slows down and stops. Then you got to have the oppression and the explosion and restart the engine.
And the highest example of this was Johnson's incredible abdication on April Fool's Day of 1968.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I wonder how modern politicians would have handled that if the current president would have abdicated on April Fool's. I just wonder what his opponent, how he would have reacted.
So nobody was ready for what began to happen that summer. First in Chicago, when Johnson ran his convention like a replay of the Reichstag fire, and then with
And we're going to have another one of those soon. We're going to have a major explosion within one of our two political parties, our two main political parties. I don't consider libertarians major political party because all they are brown shirts for the Republicans. That's all they are, is they're a front for the Republicans.
And Nixon and Mitchell coming into power, so full of congenital hostility and so completely deaf to everything we'd been talking about for 10 years that it took a while to realize that there was simply no point in yelling at the fuckers. They were born deaf and stupid.
And that there are politicians. Well, there's not only politicians, there's everyday Joes, people walking down the street. Let me adjust the camera real quick. People, just stupid people. People that are born stupid. People that are unwilling to change. That lack the intelligence to see that the world around them isn't the world they were born into. The world has changed. And once again, I'm going to quote Rush. The song Tom Sawyer, changes never last, but change does. And until a majority of the people get that through their thick heads, it's what it is.
This was the lesson of Chicago. Or at least that's what I learned from Chicago, and 2 years later, running for the office of sheriff, that lesson seemed every bit as clear as it did to me when I got rammed in the stomach with a riot club in Grant Park for showing a cop my press pass.
Yeah, you know, I guarantee that cop received an order of hit anything and everything as hard as you can and as fast as you can. Excuse me, I burped there in the middle of that sentence. It's just nonsense. Sometimes, you know, those who study history are doomed to watch it repeat because of the people that don't study history. You know, that's just kind of where we're at. So until next time, people, be a good human. Be good to other humans. Peace.